Okay, hi Jill. We're gonna do your work.
Hi Jill.
So, struggle.
The struggle.
Protagonist.
Todd. Todd. Love you, Todd. Antagonist. I said Todd's irrational fears. Although some of them aren't that irrational. Like
I
being
know.
buried alive. I have that fear.
That's a rational fear.
That is very
And also
rational.
the clowns. Like, if you had a very bad experience at a circus, I'd be afraid of circuses
Yeah.
too. You saw someone die.
I know. That's
a rational fear.
That's very traumatic. His friends' peer pressure, his parents' worry and doubt, and then Todd's own self-doubt. How he backs away from skydiving. He's like, oh, I have a car condition. Like he doubts himself that he's able to do this, so he makes up a lie. So I think that's definitely an antagonist.
I had Todd's multiple fears. Sophie and Matt are, in my book, very big antagonists. And then also his memory loss. I think that caused... It seemed to solve it, but also caused trouble because he didn't remember who his friends and family were.
Yeah, I've had the two friends listed in Sophia and then Martha listed, and they played a very huge part in that. And then the death of the clown, the gruesome death at least left this real memory on his mind. So it made him so scared to do whatsoever it would take to really venture into any other thing. So all those things help to keep his feelings to himself. Yeah.
Do you have any other? Okay.
Along with what you guys said, I had memories as
Memory,
antagonist,
okay.
and his girlfriend Sasha as well, since she seemed really brave, and that was something that I don't know, bugged him. She was braver than he was. So.
And then I think that it's also really cool that at the end of the story, that's what he liked about her, that she was so brave. I like that. Point of view. I said, this one was kind of difficult because I feel like it was third person omniscient with middle to far psychic distance. Because, I mean, we get Todd's thoughts and feelings, but we don't go deep into that. And then we also see other people's conversations and how they feel without going deep into that, like without Todd being there. So I feel like it's omniscient.
Yeah, I think I have mixture of that too because it's like I was looking at the internal monologue he was having on the hospital bed, So it's like the author had the authority of, the author is able to really articulate his feelings and what he was thinking on the bed right there. So I think it's like third person omniscient. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
So along with his thoughts, we also get like the whole scene of everybody's discussion, which it seems like he wasn't paying attention to. So
Yeah.
that wasn't really through his perspective at the moment. And then how the story begins and talking about we, and it's kind of like this, almost feels like a zoom out shot of the story rather than through Todd's perspective.
Anything else on
No. Kind of just...
the sentence? I said set in modern day. I guess it had multiple different places. A plane, a hole in the ground, a hospital. Like it was just because it was over a long time period. There were many different individual settings. This piece chronicles the events of several weeks in which Todd loses his memory and tries to regain it, and also tries to overcome his fears.
I definitely agree with the time span. I think it's a couple weeks, maybe a couple months even, before Todd ends up getting concussed and losing his memory.
Based on time. because in the beginning paragraph with it was on this day a few years ago, does that count as time? So was it a few years or several weeks?
I have 1 year actually. That's what I said. I said 1 year. That's what I said.
The one thing with that is that, sorry, it's the narrator. It's the narrator in the beginning,
Okay.
but I don't think that it comes full circle. I think the way that I felt that it ended, it ends with a chunk of time before this narrator is telling the story. But then I don't know, because it could come full circle with him actually jumping out of the plane. I guess that's something to think about.
I mean, yeah, it was cyclical in the fact that like we pretty much we ended where he had started here. Like it started, what am I trying to say? I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It was cyclical in the way that we ended before the narrators would start telling the story. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? This doesn't really make sense.
I get what you're saying though. Like the story ends before the narrator begins.
Yeah.
It makes
difficult.
sense, but it doesn't make sense.
I hope you get it, Jill.
The narrator is speaking from the future, and this is the present.
Yeah. That's what I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. I'll chime in here. Hi. The narrator is speaking from we call it a temporal distance of 2 years. So is looking back from a 2-year removed vantage point. So like the narrator has kind of lived beyond the events of this story. Does that make sense? So when I'm asking for like the time span of the story, I'm looking for the time span of the present portion of the story, which happened 2 years ago. So that would be, the 2 weeks or months or whatever. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Okay, so we got time. So the crisis action. I thought it was when he finally decides to take the jump. I'm totally intended. At the end. And it's embodied in like the step back and the leap forward. Like he's kind of excited about this jump.
Yeah. No, I had that. And then I had, again, 2 crisis actions. So I had that one. And then I also had the first time he jumps into the grave that they dug for him.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that might have also been a crisis action. Because, like, he's doing it just because he wanted to get it over with. It's like, they'll stop trying to make me overcome my fears if I just do this. And so he decided, like, I'll take the plunge.
Okay.
And then,
He went ahead.
yeah. And he ended up going first, but... And then we come full circle, and he ends up jumping out of the plane. So, I feel like they're both crisis actions. Because they're both, like, huge... stepping stones.
The one thing I felt about the one thing I felt about the grave though was that it was a reversal, because it's kind of like
Maybe.
it gets in the way of him trying, because he does agree to face these fears with them, whether like he may not actually fully agree, but he goes with them. So on some level that's agreeing. So like him jumping into the grave is it's a choice to get to his end desire, which is to actually get over these fears. But it didn't work.
I think the resolution of him jumping into the grave is the reversal. Like the resolution is that he loses his memory, gets amnesia, and so the amnesia becomes a reversal. But then it also becomes
I thought it was a Deus Ex Machina, honestly.
Really?
I did, because he doesn't actually face his fear. He forgets his fear. If you forget your fears, it's gonna be easy for you to face them, in a sense. Yeah.
So what I would say, we agree that the concussion was the crisis action. We started from there, and when he finally made up his mind, to do the jump from his own, on his own term instead of his friends.
Yeah.
So, is that a crisis action or what?
I mean, I still feel like that's the crisis action, even with the Deus Ex Machina.
I don't know. I feel like this one's difficult.
It is difficult.
Yeah, but that's what I keep.
Amnesia is difficult.
Yes, because I said that it's when he finally made up his mind, that I'm going to do this on my own term, not on the term of my friends or so. So he was no longer using the peer pressure, but rather he was using his own accord to do this. So that's what I keep with the crisis section. So I don't know.
I think even though he has the amnesia, he still makes the
He's-
decision.
oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like he still makes the decision to face his fear.
Yeah.
So
But the thing, I agree, because he does still decide to jump out of the plane, and that's a big decision for anyone.
Yeah.
But at some level, he's not deciding to face his fears because he doesn't remember them. Like, he doesn't really, they tell him that this is his fear. So it's like, I mean, obviously anybody would be afraid to jump out of a plane, but it's not on the same level as it was before the amnesia.
yeah.
So
I
it's-
don't know. I think it's difficult because like if this fear is so big for him, like he would still have it subconsciously, like his like whatever frontal lobe or whatever might not remember it. But like if he's there in that situation, like his instincts are gonna take over, and if like that's his instinctual fear, he's not gonna want to do it.
The one thing that I have about his fears, though, is that most of them seem to stem from some kind of memory, which is how most fears happen, some kind of experience. But if he forgets that experience...
No, but then he wouldn't forget the feelings of that experience. Because, like, those feelings of trauma would be in your mind subconsciously. So, like, that would still affect you whether you want it to or not. Whether you remember it or not. I don't know, it's difficult.
Towards the end, I thought he started to feel like nervous or fearful of jumping out, and the guy started talking.
Yeah.
He has the same exact line
Yeah.
of thought. It's repeated, which I thought was interesting because
Yeah.
I mean that's like you said, it's an innate thing. It just happens. If you have fear, you have fear. So yeah, I do agree that it is a crisis action. I just don't know. I feel like he
No,
doesn't
but
have
yeah, I
as
guess
much
you're right.
agency as he would if he got his memories back and then decided to jump out. Because I don't know.
I don't know, this one's hard.
The amnesia kind of gives him agency over his fear because he doesn't remember exactly. He might have the innate feeling still,
But he doesn't remember why he's afraid of it.
yeah. I feel like why is important too.
Yeah.
Fears.
Oh, yeah. So,